Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Novice Lumberjack, where I got Hellboy right here, my Shindaiwa 757. I call it Hellboy. I think I just said that. Anyways, it is set up with a 24-inch bar, fresh C83 chain. Had a few cuts on it, but it's still nice and sharp. I just tested it out. 8-pin sprocket. This is going to be sent to Jeff Seacombe out on the West Coast, and where the West is the best and the East is the least, right? He's got a little get-together out there, a small gathering of folks, and he asked me to send this to him so he could test it and put it through the paces, see if it's actually all that it's cracked up to be. I know that he likes running it with an 8-pin sprocket, and I had it set up with an 8-pin previously for some testing, and so we're just going to leave that 8-pin on there and see how it does in this big hard red oak. Now once I get into this, it'll get nice and pink and fresh, but that first cut right there, I'm going to make it kind of fat so that we get past this dried out part. And then yeah, he's going to get it and he wants to run an 8-pin and a 32-inch bar on it. Go for it, bro. I've got full confidence in it, even though it has been acting a little bit wonky, but it's I think maybe the coil is going out on it. Maybe it just died on me whenever I was doing the dyno testing. So this dynoed at 7.3 horsepower, which is a lot lower than I expected because this thing runs like freaking nuts. All right, so I can't explain it. It pulls really well, and I'm confident that he'll get out there and put his 32-inch bar on it and put it in some of that big pine and really like the way it runs. And if not, hey, maybe not. Maybe it's better for smaller stuff. But the point of this video is I'm going to do one good cut here, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to do a timing advance and see if we can get a little bit more speed out of it that way. I have done a timing advance to it already, but I couldn't get it started, and so I backed it back to the stock setting. But I've since learned that it's actually flooding out upon startup. I just did some tuning on it and was able to really lean out the low side, and it still run good, and so that tells me I was way too fat on my low side anyways. So we'll see if it continues to have that flooding out problem, if it will run with a timing advance or what. But without further ado, let's have at it. Give it a little bit more on the low. One thing I will say, I kind of screwed up on the muffler mod with this because I cut that off at a flat angle. Whoop. And so it looks cool, but you could probably hear it. It was getting right up against the log, and it can't breathe. So that's something that I'll fix in the future. Right now, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to go and do the timing advance and come back and see if it makes an improvement. Okay, we're back. The timing advance is done, and I have not made any jetting changes or anything. I'll fire it up, put it in the wood, hope for the best. Now, whenever I went in there, I took the spark plug out to do the timing advance and everything. I need to put a string down in there to hold it all steady while I tighten up the flywheel. And I noticed that the spark plug was pretty white. So that means it's pretty lean. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a little bit more fuel. We'll see if it likes it. That was about a half a turn. One thing, I definitely feel like it needs that 7-pin sprocket on it. I don't like it whenever I have to baby it through the cut. And I did have to baby it a little bit through the cut right there. On all 3 cuts. We get down here, whenever that bar is completely sunk in, you know, that's 100% real estate. You know, you can run a 32-inch bar in something like this. It's still going to be, actually, it would probably be a little bit less load, because whenever that tip isn't making it through, you can't get rid of the chips. All right, so you're double cutting your wood. So in a cut like this, a 28 or a 32-inch bar would probably make this saw cut faster, because if that bar can't make it through, if the tip can't make it out to the other side, then that slows you down because you can't properly get rid of the chips. So you're double cutting. But anyways, yeah, I prefer a 7-pin sprocket. You know, I've said it about a gajillion times, but I know Jeff is wanting to run this thing with an 8-pin because he likes an 8-pin. And so we will allow him to do that. If he wants to change it out, I'm sure he can figure out how it's done. So did the timing advance help it? I don't know if it did in this big wood or not, but you could hear it spool up. Boy, it got way up into the RPM range, and it didn't seem like it was doing that previously. So it does seem like it's getting up into the RPMs better than it was before. So now, this right here will get drained of all of its fuel and shipped out to California so that Jeff can run it. Check out his channel. It's called Leave Nothing Stock, even though he doesn't do a whole lot on his channel. But if you want to see him running this, I'm sure he'll have some footage of it up eventually at some point. Now, next thing to do is I have another one of these 757s to port up. And it's going to my man Chris. I believe Chris is in Pennsylvania, I think. Could be New York. I'm uncertain. But anyways, I mean, I'll figure it out before I mail it, right? But we worked out a deal. He sent me a Shindaiwa 488 and a 680 to do a port job for him on another 757. But the glory in this is, I've never ran a stock 757. Never. A ported one's all I have ever ran. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain this out, put the gas and oil in the saw that he sent me, which is a bone stocker, and we will see how it does with that bar and chain on there in this chunk of oak. We can compare the two. Probably won't be on this video. This is comparing for the timing advance, but you'll see that in an upcoming video for sure. All right, so I am sitting here pretty much in the dark. I got the garage door open, got some sunlight coming in, but electricity's out. Might come on at any time. Anyways, clearly it did not like the timing advance. I did 2 runs, and I picked the fastest run to compare. But the first run where I didn't do any jetting changes, it was like 2 or 3 seconds slower than it was without the advance. And then I richened it up, and it liked that. It got faster. So I was running it lean on the first cut for sure, and on the second cut. But regardless, it did not like the timing advance. So I will take that timing advance back out of it before I send it to Jeff. And I got to say also, it didn't like that 8-pin sprocket in all that oak. No, it prefers to sing up in the high RPM ranges, higher at least, and it just can't do that with the 8-pin sprocket. But I'll leave that up to him if he wants to swap it out to a 7-pin, or to a 7-pin, because it's got an 8-pin on it at this moment. But if he wants to swap that out, he's more than welcome to, and I would recommend it, because that saw runs better with a 7-pin, unless you're in little tiny wood and racing. So, but you're going to be putting it in some big wood, I suspect, and I would recommend running it with a 7-pin. Anywho, so that's that on the Shindaiwa. I will give you this much. I have at this point ran the stock saw, and it was surprising. It ran really well. I figured it was going to be pretty darn weak, and it wasn't. But then again, it had the 7-pin on it, and with the 7-pin, I had to baby it the same as mine with an 8-pin, maybe even a little bit more. So definitely there's a power difference, as well there should be. That's the whole goal. But anyways, that's enough for this video, and be on the lookout for the other 757 videos that will be coming up.